So today we're focusing on continuous or discrete, and we're also still going to focus on domain and range. So this is a discrete graph because there's not a connection between it. So if I was to list the domain for this, it's just going to be a list of numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not going to be like x is greater than something or x is less than something. This x has a solid value of whatever that is, maybe -5. Does that make sense? This x has a value of whatever it is, which maybe is like -3 and -2 and 0. And so over here, x has a value of anything that falls. Well, this one has a value of all real numbers because it's anything that's falling. It's all of those like -0.1, -0.2, and so forth. Down here, it really gives you examples and stuff to distinguish between continuous or discrete, and we're not going to go read all that, but if you get confused, you can look at that. Turn to the back, and we are going to read the part that says in plain English, because this is like, if you get confused, this is like word for word, what is it? In plain English, a continuous function allows the x values to be any points in the interval, including fractions, decimals, and irrational values. Where discrete allows the x values to only be certain points in the interval. It's usually only integers and whole numbers. All right, so let's go down and do the first example. We're going to graph the function y equals 2x minus 1. Do y'all remember how to graph a linear equation? This is your what right here? That's your y-intercept, so you go to the y-axis, which would be right here, and go put a dot at -1. And then this right here is your slope, and you need a rise and a run, and since it's an integer, the 2 is the rise, and what would I put on bottom to not change the value? A 1. So my rise is 2, my run is 1. So I go up 2, hold my pencil, and write 1 and put it up. And then you would do it again, up 2, write 1. And you could do it as many times as you want, but you really only need like 3 dots to make a line. Now, what did it tell me? It specifically told me that x can only be those values, yes? So I should have made a table. X can be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I could just plug in. So when x is 0, what's y? -1. When x is 1, what's y? When x is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. And when x is 3. All right, so we should have only graphed these points, yes? So I got one at 0, -1. I got one at 1, 1. I got one at 2, 3, and 3, 5. I got to take this dot off. Why do I have to take that off? They were specific that x can only be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So would I connect this as a line?
Yes. Oh, no.
Why am I not connecting this? Because they said the domain is 0, 1, 2, 3. Make sense? If they didn't say that and they gave me this, then I would connect it and it would be continuous. But because they were very specific about the domain, this is not a continuous function. This is a, what is this? This is a discrete function. If they tell you what the domain has to be, then it is not a connected line. Does everybody understand the difference? Okay, turn the page. All right, go to the top. Number 1, what's the domain? 2. -5. 0. Do I write the -5s twice? No. What's the range? -3, 8, 6, and is this a function? Why? There was 2 negative 5s. All right, let's go to the next one. What's the domain? 0, -1, -5, and 0. Oh, should I have written that again? Nope. Okay, what's the range? -5, 4.5, 6.8, and 7. Was this a function? No, because the zeros repeated. All right. Now we're going to go do all 3 things that I've taught you about functions. You're going to tell me, is it a function? And you're going to list the domain and range, and then you're going to decide if it's discrete or continuous. So everybody look at the first graph, and do y'all see those lines? Those are just pointing to the dots. Yeah, they're just pointing to it. Is this a discrete graph or continuous? It's discrete. What is the domain? Well, find your dots and go to the x-axis. What's the x value here? 0. What's the x value here? Right here, guys. We're looking at the x value. 1. Here, 2. Here, I already did that one. 1, 2. This one, 3, and the last one's 4. Now we're looking at the y-axis for those dots, yes? So on this dot, I'm going to have to go count. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's this one at? 5. This one? 3. This one? No, it's not. 2. And this one? 0. Is this a function? Yeah, it's 8. All right, the next graph, is this continuous or discrete? Okay, guys, look at the examples. It's continuous. You don't have to have arrows. Okay, guys, let me clarify. Discrete means you're not going to have that x can be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Does that make sense? You're not going to write an inequality for a domain. Does that make sense? Yes or no? See over here, my domain is exactly those numbers. But what's my domain over here? What's the lowest value x can be? What's the highest value x can be? And x is in the middle, yes? So x is greater than or equal to 0, but less than or equal to 4. If you're going to write an inequality for the domain or range, it's a continuous graph. Do y'all understand this? Yes or no? Okay, some people are saying no, so let's talk about it. The domain has to do with which axis. So if I highlighted the x-axis, what is the lowest x value on this graph? It's right here, yes? What is that x value at? 0. Yes? Does everybody understand? Yes. So I put a 0 right here. What's the highest x value it's at? Are we good there? And x is anything greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 4. Are we okay? Everybody got it now? Now, what does the range have to do with? The y-axis. So I'm going to go highlight the y-axis. What is the lowest? So I'm going to the lowest point on the y-axis, yes? What's the lowest it's at? What is this number? 0. Y goes in the middle. And what's the highest it's at? Yes. So y is greater than or equal to 0, but less than or equal to 8. Is this a function? Yes. Are we starting to get better at domain and range? Okay, let's look at the next one. Let's answer, is it a function? Is this a function? Yes. Is it continuous or discrete? Continuous. All right, the domain. I'm going to highlight the x-axis. Is there a lowest point on the x-axis, or is it going to keep going? Is there a highest point on the x-axis, or is it going to keep going? So my domain is all real numbers. I'm going to highlight the y-axis for the range. Is there a lowest point on the y-axis, or will it keep going? And is there a highest point? It's going to keep going. All real numbers. Number 6. Let's answer the question first. Is it discrete or continuous?
Discrete.
Discrete. Is it a function? Yes. Why? Because if I do a vertical line test, I'm only going to hit each dot once. Yes? All right. What is the domain? Highlight the x-axis. So I need their x value. So here's my first dot. What is the x value for that dot? 1. Go to the next dot. What is the x value? 3. Go to the next one. What's the x value? 4. And the next one, what's the x value? Now for the range, I'm looking at the y-axis. I'm going to go to the first dot that I started with. What is the y value of that dot? Good. Go to the next dot. What is the y value? Do I need to write it again? No. Go to the next dot. What's the y value? 2. Go to the last dot. What's the y value? -2. Why was this a function? The x is never repeated, right? All right, let's go to the next one. Continuous or discrete? Continuous. Is it a function? Yes. Why? Because if I draw a vertical line, it's only going to touch once. All right, highlight the x-axis. If it's continuous, you're going to write an inequality. Yes? All right, find the lowest point on the x-axis. Everybody found it?
Yep.
It's -5. Put x in the middle. Find the highest point on the x-axis. 6. Now I have to figure out my signs. X is definitely going to be greater than -5, but can it also be equal to? So x is greater than or equal to. I'm not putting a greater than or equal sign, right? X is greater than or equal to, so I'm making sure it's open towards x. All right, x is less than 6. Is it also equal to?
No.
See the open dot? So just less than 6. Are we okay? Highlight the y-axis for range. I am looking at the lowest point that it's going to touch the y-axis. So everybody go, where's the lowest point? Right here, yes? Right there. So I can't really see those numbers, so I'm going to go count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -6. Do y'all agree that's the lowest point down here? What's going to go in the middle? Y. Now find the highest point on the y-axis. What's it at? 2. Y is greater than or equal to -6 because it is touching -6, yes? And less than or equal to 2 because it is touching at the 2. Do y'all understand? Are we getting any better? Yeah? Last one. Y'all want to try it on your own? All right, go try it.